So I want to use this video real quick to talk about two in my opinion, very important things. If you're watching this, I'm sure you probably heard about this. Chadwick Boseman died recently. I think he died about 2 days ago or so. And if you're not familiar with who Chadwick Boseman is, he played the Black Panther. He played the King of Wakanda. If you've ever seen Black Panther, he was the star. And I think he was in at least one Avengers movie, but that's beyond the point. The two things I want to bring up: one, he died recently from cancer, and he was not very old, not at all. I think he was about 42, 41, 43, somewhere in that ballpark. Very young, in my opinion, not a very old person by any means. And he passed away. Reason why I bring this up, and I know it's very sad, I feel deeply sorry for his family and everyone that had to kind of bear the burden with him of what he was going through. I know that's a lot to handle, especially now, during this time of year. But I do want to bring up something that I think is important to sort of shine light upon. His death was very tragic, of course. I think it was very unpredictable. Unpredictable in the sense that you don't usually consider people in their 40s, especially in 2020. Health is, for the most part, very good. Our healthcare is very good. Science has allowed the average human to live much longer than they ordinarily would under most circumstances. So you would never really consider someone who's in their 40s to be someone who is gonna die. But it happened. These circumstances happen. Random events happen. Diseases still happen. Viruses happen. These things happen. The reason why it's so noteworthy, the reason why I want to bring this up, is because I feel like we should sort of use his death and other people who die early, who die young, as a reminder that time is finite and time is unpredictable. It's not guaranteed that we will wake up the next day. And I'm not saying this to be negative. I'm saying this to be realistic, though, just because I feel like a lot of people sometimes act in a manner as if they have infinite time. We make decisions as if we will be around forever to sort of go back and change our decisions. In my opinion, when it comes down to decisions, there are basically two types of decisions a human being can make: reversible decisions and irreversible decisions. And I made a video previously about the two, and I think how to kind of go about making decisions, in my opinion at least. But I would say the best thing to do is try to make reversible decisions frequently. Make irreversible decisions seldom, but make sure that when you do make them count. The irreversible decisions are huge. I'm not going to get into what counts as an irreversible decision versus a reversible decision, but I do want to put that out there, just because, like I said, a lot of people, especially people I know who are in their 20s, maybe 30s, maybe even younger than 20s, they're making decisions, I think, that they don't have a long-term goal in mind. There's no long-term focus. I feel like they act as if they will be around until the end of humanity, and they will not. Every human dies. The issue is we don't know when we're going to die. Anything can happen. Anything. I've heard of plenty of people in their 20s who get cancer, people in their 30s, people in their 40s who get different viruses, different diseases, who die, and they don't expect it. I know this video sounds super grim. It's not meant to be grim, but it's meant to be realistic and just really lay down the fact that you won't be around forever. And you should really value time, like, more than anything. People value money a lot, to me, which just, it really makes no sense. You can always get back money. You can never get back time. So that's the first thing that I want to kind of bring up and sort of make a point about. I really think it's important to keep that in mind. Time is finite. You do not have infinite time. Time will expire. The hard part about that is you don't know when it'll expire. So you need to act as if it'll expire soon, or at least sooner rather than later, in my opinion, at least. The second thing that I want to bring up, I don't know if this is true or not, but from what I heard, a lot of people are making fun of Chadwick Boseman because I saw videos or pictures of him thin. And I remember I did see at least one or two pictures of him losing weight, I think earlier this year or maybe last year. And to be honest, I thought it was for a movie. I didn't really think much of it. I thought it was for a movie coming up. It's not uncommon for a lot of actors to do method acting. I believe that's how they refer to it, as method acting, in which they truly take on the role of whoever or whatever character they're playing. I think Heath Ledger did it with Joker in Dark Knight. Jared Leto did it with Joker in Suicide Squad. I think the guy from 50 Shades of Grey, I don't know his name, I think he did that for his character in 50 Shades of Grey. Christian Grey, I think is his name. A lot of actors do it. It's not uncommon. So I really thought that he was doing it for a role. So to me, it wasn't that shocking. However, from what I heard, a lot of people made fun of him. And to me, that's very upsetting, just because I think we live in this weird world. And I know all humans do it. I do it. Everyone's guilty of it. But one thing I try to be mindful of it is to not judge people. You know, we all make decisions. We all make snap decisions. It's impossible not to. That's kind of how we're wired as humans, to sort of look at a person and assume things. In the past, it was done for survival, as far as I understand. But I do think it's not good to judge negatively unless there's a good reason to do so, unless we get all the details. And one thing I think one sort of point that I want to make is, I think as humans, we need to get into the habit of asking questions. When we don't understand something, instead of just assuming something, especially when it's negative, ask questions. Just go, I wonder what happened. I wonder why he's so thin. I wonder why this person acts the way they do. I wonder why that guy is so mean. I wonder why this lady behaves the way she does. I wonder why this kid is so loud or so happy or whatever. Lots of different questions you can ask. You know, there's so many situations where I'll have a discussion with somebody and we're talking about something, and I'll make a point only for the person to assume that I am making a point about something extremely specific. And then I sort of, I try to challenge people, and I kind of go like, are you assuming that that's what I meant? Or do you know that that's what I meant? And they sort of say, like you just said it, like, no, I said I'm going to the store or something. I'm making a random example. And they go, yeah, to get groceries. I'm like, I didn't say grocery store. I just said store. I could have been going to the shoe store, the bowling store, the fitness store. There's lots of stores out there where you don't get groceries, but you didn't ask. And that's a funny example, but just to illustrate the point that people don't ask questions. People sort of fill in gaps in their minds. And in very narrow situations, like small stuff like that, doesn't matter too much. You make an assumption, someone corrects you, no big deal. But I do think that in some situations like this, for example, when someone has cancer, or if someone has, anything, you meet some people who are just mean. And the assumption is that this person's mean for, I don't know, one of the big things nowadays is this person's racist. This person hates me because of my gender or my sex or whatever. And I really think we'd all do better as a society to just sit down and say, you know what? I feel this way about this person. Why does this person feel this way? Or why does this person act this way? Because you might ask them and they might not even know that they're behaving in a particular way. They might say like, oh, you know what? I didn't even know I was doing that. I assumed, they might assume that they are acting in one way. Meanwhile, the rest of the world perceives them to be acting in a different way. Now that you've asked the question, you've opened up their mind to the reality, or at least potential reality, that they're not perceived the way that they want to be perceived. So that was sort of the two things I wanted to bring up. Mainly, it's not good to judge people, and we should be asking questions. And sort of the other part of that is that time is finite and we should be making the most of our time. And that's a message I always spread, I always share. I like to point out the fact that time is finite, to probably nauseating degrees. People probably hate when I talk about it so much, but I do think it's important. I do think it's good to sort of reiterate and kind of put back out there as much as possible, because it's something that I think if you hear it just once, it's not really going to click. But when you hear it like 10, 20, 30, 100, 500 times, you're kind of sitting there like, you know what? That person's right. Time is finite. I'm sitting here like playing video games or just doing stuff I really shouldn't be doing when I could be doing something else. I could be progressing towards goals. I could be making myself better, becoming 1% better, doing more things with my life that I want to do, thinking more long-term than short-term. So I'm going to wrap up the video there. I don't want to make it too long. I have a tendency to make very long videos when I shouldn't. But yeah, let me know what you think about that, guys. Feel free to reach out as always. Peace out.